All right, ladies and gentlemen, 9:30 at night. Going to be running you through a fantastic presentation if you jump on this. And it's going to be discussing the change from pay to play to pay to learn. Okay, so the question is, are you ready with Beast? A lot of people have asked. I've made some content recently about the new project, and I'm going to be showcasing you what that new project is right now. And I can't wait to get it started. Okay, so are you ready? So we'll have a 1-minute timer. Everybody a chance to come in, ask your questions now, and we'll be ready to rumble momentarily. But it's all about this, which is Beast, but what is the cap? And we're going to find out here momentarily. We got about 40 seconds. I'll actually skip this in a second, but I'm just trying to give you guys a chance to jump in and get prepped for this. So ready to rock, ready to roll. What is coming? And I already gave you a key, changing from pay to play to pay to learn. So let's look at this now. So real quick about me, very quickly. So I am Kyle Wilson, the Angry Soccer Guy. I've also been called the Angry Soccer Guy. I've been called the Beast Guy now, so that's pretty cool. So it's a new title. And just very quickly about my history, just so everybody, if you're new to this, or just a refresher if you've known me for a little while. I played all levels of youth soccer in the United States, recreational, travel, competitive, DA. Played NCAA Division II, played semi-professionally in France. So I was getting paid to play, not very much, but I was paid to play. And then I represented the United States men's national team at the 2019 Futsal World Cup through AMF, which was in Misiones, Argentina. Okay, I've trained various professional players. One of them is a Champions League winner, Premier League winner, won the Euros with Portugal. Luis Nani. Trained the generational talent coming out of Brazil named Kawan, who has a contract with Nike worth $3.5 million. And I've also trained a variety of other players like Benji Michel, Dom Dwyer, list goes on. So I've trained a lot of top level players. Okay, so I don't have every answer, but I do have a good idea of what I'm talking about. Now, ever since I got into coaching, my dream, as you can see on screen here, has been to develop the next generation of American players to make it out of the U.S. system. Well, we know, especially on the men's side, we've not done a great job of developing top level talent. So it's always been my dream, and this is what this documentation is about today. Okay? Now, I have come to realize, so the realization within the last year, and after all the conversations that I've had, content pieces that I've created, again, engaging in conversation with other people, and thought processes that club soccer will never develop players to reach the pinnacle of the sport. So what I define as the pinnacle of the sport is the Champions League. Okay? And that is based on the current model moving into the 2024-2025 season. That is a problem. And I'm going to expand on it here shortly why. Okay? Let's dive into the realities and facts of the current U.S. youth soccer system. There are, in Florida alone, 22 plus competitive youth soccer leagues. There are 8 to 12 governing bodies under U.S. soccer. The kids are put last, and probably the biggest piece out of this whole thing, the lack of incentive to develop players. So in club soccer, what I'm highlighting there with the last one is there's a lack of incentive to develop players in the club model. Okay, so this means education and development in the club model is not the priority. You've probably seen some of my content pieces talking about this, but unfortunately it is the truth, and I'll expand on it here shortly. The kids, the entire reason any of us are even here, are put to the back burner. That means they're put last. They're the last piece to the puzzle when they should be the first piece and the priority of the puzzle. Okay? They are no longer the reason we have youth sports. Again, a fundamental flaw. Then somebody asked me this question about, at this point, a month and change ago. Kyle, would you pay $80,000 to spend an entire year learning from Jurgen Klopp? And without even thinking about it, that would be yes. And in fact, I just watched a video today of a guy, one of the biggest entrepreneurs probably in the world, and he talked about how he spent over $500,000 on education for himself. And I'm like, it's a no-brainer. If you want to go to a higher level, if you can invest money into people that are in a better position than you, you can learn from them very quickly, and you can skip a lot of the pain and processes that are needed to go to the next level in the journey. So for me, to have the opportunity to do something like this is huge and a no-brainer. Again, I talked about pay to learn. So without even hesitation, yes, Education and learning from someone in a greater position than you is one of the greatest value potentials in the world, in my humble opinion. So I then spoke with one of the best individuals who built one of the best programs in the country for these three pillars. 1, improving the person. 2, improving the student. And 3, improving the athlete. Now, notice that it's in this order, not the other way. The athlete is not first. It is the person, followed by the student, followed by the athlete. That's important to understand, and you'll see why shortly. So, I have had the opportunity to be around one of those people almost as big as Jurgen Klopp, and wow, have I learned a lot. And it's really about how to develop better people using that 3-step process. So, this also gave me the realization that the goal can't just be about developing the next generation of players. Well, why would I say that? Why can't it just be about the development of the next generation of players? It has to be about developing the next generation of individuals with education at the forefront. This is where my mindset shift has changed. And then boom, it came to me. But it's probably not what you think. Another soccer academy, another soccer club, another club soccer program that wants the badges. Okay, and I'll tell you this, I believe that if an organization takes the badges, that shows that their priority is not the kids. The priority is how much money that they can actually make and generate. Because you know that when you have badges, you're always getting new kids. Okay, but it's not another soccer academy, another soccer club, or a soccer program, club soccer program. Okay, it is so much more than that, bigger and better. Let's find out what it is. Oh, wait. But before I tell you what it is, I also realized that for my own future child, I don't have kids, but for my own future child, I wouldn't send him or her into public school. And in fact, I watched a video today, again, same entrepreneur, and he said, public school is a complete and utter joke in this country. And I'm like, I agree. So it ties in perfectly where I'm going with this. I would either do one of 3 options. Homeschool, virtual school, private school. We're not doing public school. So let's see where this is going with. Why? I've been doing countless hours of research of other countries' school systems, and I've discovered a few things. The most successful programs have students in the classroom for around 3 to 4 hours, keyword here, maximum. They're in school, in a classroom for 3 to 4 hours maximum. Okay, they're trying to maximize long-term development, which we're going to see here in a second. The rest of the time, they are outside or in the real world, not just behind a desk or stuck looking at a screen. They're in the real world. They're at life. You learn, in my opinion, especially from the research that I found, kids and people learn better being in life than being stuck behind a desk or a screen. So, I also believe that the public school system is inherently outdated and deprives children of learning in the modern world. Well, what does that mean? Well, we're now in 2024. This is modern life at this point, right? The current school system of public is like a general scale. That's an issue. It's not now centralized for each individual child. What does each child have a need for? Well, this is what we're going to be discussing here in a moment. So, in the public school system currently, children are going to sit behind a desk for 6 to 8 hours a day, maybe get 30 minutes to an hour of recreation time, and this is based on the current public school model. So, me, quick background. I took the normal approach. I went to public school all the way through, graduated high school, so public school until graduation. I went to college, so I went to go get formal education. I have a degree, I have a bachelor's degree, so graduated college. I took that approach. But what the craziest thing to me is, I have a college degree for business. It's called sport business. And when I walked out, I thought I knew everything. I walked out of college going, man, I know everything. I'm good to go. Then I got into the real world of business and life. And it's like getting punched in the face. Like it's apples to oranges. Or I'd even say like a grape to a watermelon is probably a better example. But I've learned so much more from being in the real world and gaining real life experience. I also realized doing what everyone else does creates mediocrity. So if you want to do mediocrity, do what everybody else does. If you want excellence, go against the grain. And I'll even give you this phrase. Nobody's been highly successful in life playing it safe. You have to take risk. Now, I would argue that it needs to be calculated risk, but you need to take risk to create success to get to a high level. Right? Like Cristiano Ronaldo didn't become a professional playing it safe by playing the simple pass, playing backwards. He became a professional by taking risk, moving out on his own at 12 years old, and always trying to play forward. Like just quick examples for you. So it's time to think outside the box. Like I just mentioned, no one becomes successful or elite by playing it safe. So let's think outside the box together. This helped me discover the next innovation or innovative philosophy to not just pay to play, which is the current club soccer model. But I gave you the nugget earlier. Pay to learn. Let's change the mindset here. I have learned through my 31 years of experience that life is a game of knowledge, a game of education, and a game of learning. All three. And it's a constant revolving door. And if you get stuck on having that like, everything's fine, I don't need to learn more, you're going to be stuck the rest of your life. And I found that through experience. Because there was one year where I was like, I don't need to learn nothing, I'm good, and let's keep moving forward. So, I put a guarantee here, but there are simply no guarantees that someone will become a collegiate or a professional player. There are absolutely zero guarantees that will happen. I learned this from personal experience. I didn't make it. I, quote unquote, failed. But what do you define as failure? So, before I answer that, this is me in 2009 playing ODP regionals. So this is after the state pool. This is going to the regional pool. Okay, me playing Development Academy in 2010. So this is me in the DA. So what used to be known as MLS, or what MLS Next used to be known as is Development Academy. This is me playing in the Development Academy in 2010. This is me playing college soccer, NCAA Division II, 2014. This is me playing in the Coupe de France, which is the French national tournament in 2016. It's a very blurry picture, but that's me in the red circle. And then this is me representing the United States men's national team at the 2019 AMF Futsal World Cup after losing to Spain. Okay, in Misiones, Argentina. So, failure is when you decide to quit on your own. I failed. I said, I'm done. I quit. I stepped out. Okay? However, because of my education and knowledge, what I know today, I am in the position I am today. If it was not for the education that I have, the knowledge, I would not be here delivering this content or any type of content to the soccer football community. In fact, I'd probably be a coach saying, kick it, boot it, send it, smash it, slam it, right? Because I wouldn't have had that background. I was fortunate enough when I was a young player to get a coach who cared about developing players, which is why I'm here today in this position trying to do the same thing for other people. Okay? And believe it or not, even if I did make it as a professional, my playing career would have come to an end at some point. Believe it or not, Ronaldo and Messi's career is going to come to an end. And I would have to be a productive member in a functional society. But what does that actually mean? And even to this day, I'm constantly investing in my education. Well, let's look at a quick example, right? Professional players, the majority of them have to move into functional life, into society. Well, that's because they didn't make enough money, or they spent all their money, and they don't have enough saved up to live on it. So like Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, David Beckham, those are guys that made enough money. They don't ever have to necessarily work again. They're good, right? They're set for life. But that is the extreme example of somebody that has a professional career and doesn't have to worry about work or life ever again. The other players, after they finish their careers as a professional player, they're going to have to work in functional life again and get a job or build a business or do something. So this is where the next innovation project comes into effect. Beast Residency. Slogan, unleash the beast. Now, I've had a couple of people ask me, why Beast Residency? Fantastic question. Let me quickly define it for you. When you look at players that get to the next level, my humble opinion, they're beast. So our single objective is to develop players that have the potential to get to a higher level, which means they have to be a beast. Now, I'll give you another context to flame it to you a different way. If we look at the top levels, we look at the Premier League, we look at the Champions League. Let's use Man City. 2 years ago at this point, Manchester City needed a number 9. They didn't go out and sign a team. They went out and signed a single player who they felt would fit the need of what they have. So they went out to go get Erling Haaland. Well, that is a single player that they found as a perfect fit, a beast. So that's what this entire program is about, is to unleash the beast under the residency program. Now, what does this actually mean? And that's what we're going to break down now. Okay, so 3 main parts to beast: education, development, and events. Now, this is where it becomes different. This is a private school. This is a school located in Orlando, Florida. It's led by myself. And we have a team, which I'll expand on at a later point. Okay, we're going to be focusing on 1v1 to 5v5 and individual mastery. But the bottom piece here, education is key. Okay, so let's continue this so you can see where I'm going with it. So, Beast Residency, a private school that's primary focus is about the individual and their education as a person, as a student, and as an athlete. Sport is a tool regarding their long-term development. So, I mentioned these 3 pillars earlier. I'm going to reemphasize now. Our 3 main pillars are the following in order for Beast Residency. Number 1, improving the person. Number 2, improving the student. Number 3, improving the athlete. It's very important that it's clear that that is the order. We want to make sure that we can develop good people to work in functional society. Okay? We need to make sure that they are educated so that way they know how to survive in the environment. And then 3, we need to make sure that with the model that we have of the private school, because it's a sport-specific school, they can improve as athletes. Now, I cannot stress this enough. Soccer and football comes third. Education and making sure we help develop better people for society is key. And I want to highlight this part right here, where it says soccer or football, what I call it, comes third. And education is so important to us, and I'm going to expand on education in a moment, that if a student athlete within our residency does not have the required coursework done or not with the certain grade percentage they need to have, they will not even be allowed to train. That is how important education is to us. They have to be able to do their coursework, have a passing grade to whatever is acceptable from the school perspective, which I'll touch on momentarily. And then as long as they have that, they're able to train. But if they don't have that, they are not allowed to train. I want to make sure that is crystal clear, because football comes third. It's a bonus. Do your work, get it done, train. So hopefully that's abundantly clear. Now, what's awesome is we have partnered with one of the best academic programs in the country to deliver the necessary platform to maximize student learning capabilities. Now, what's awesome is they create, based on how the student performs in their, let's just call it onboarding process, individualized learning plans. So this is where I think it's a huge step up from public school. Public school, you're going to be given a generalized plan. Hey, this is what the class is going to learn. However, with their platform, your student is going to get an individualized plan based on their needs, which is fantastic. And I think it's way more beneficial to a student in this capacity, because I didn't get that. I wish I could have had a learning plan based on my needs. That would change the game for a lot of people. And to have a platform that gives you an onboarding process, and then you get crafted a educational piece around what you need is, in my opinion, unbelievable. And I think can change the game for education for individuals in this country, let alone in the world, by building platforms that can meet, and I've talked about this multiple times, meet student athletes at their level. That's huge. Let's meet them at their level. And I've talked about that on the soccer side. We need to meet our players at their level. Well, the same thing from school. Let's create a platform that meets the students at their educational level and then meet them at the needs that they have, which is what this organization does. So we have partnered with a program called SCI Academy. And what's awesome about them outside of what I just told you, is they are a fantastic team of professionals. They offer everything from honors courses to AP courses to dual enrollment getting into high school. And it's easily transferable from, say, public school or a different private school to their program. And you can go back and forth. So if 2 years down the line, you want to step out of residency as an example, you can go into public school again with no issue. And that's, I think, a huge benefit. And they have their own curriculum. That's why they can create programming centered around the individual need. Now, what's awesome, and this is why we chose to work with them, is because they are partnered with multiple MLS academies. Here's 4 of them right here. So, Orlando City, Inter Miami, DC United, Chicago Fire. That's very important. They understand the importance of providing students the athletic piece as well, which is huge when we're talking about getting to a higher level. Okay, so I want to talk about the pillars real quick. Okay, so the 3 pillars. First one, improving the individual. 4 key things here. I have noticed, especially in today's day and age, due to COVID, due to technology, many children struggle with just having and engaging in meaningful conversations with others. Students need to learn how to be humble in success and gracious in defeat, and learning that not everything in life will go their way. This is huge because how many times has something gone against you in life? Life is not fair, but the quicker that our students can be accustomed to challenges in life, so they have to struggle, the quicker they can level up and be more prepared for the real world. And like I've mentioned, I truly believe that the current public education system is outdated in the modern day. So long story short, our goal is to better prepare our students for life by delivering life education that is critical to be a successful person in society and functional. Okay, so now let's look at pillar 2, improving the student. Again, remember the order. The likelihood of an athlete making it as a professional is less than 1%. Across the board, less than 1%. And the likelihood of an athlete making it as a professional and making enough money to sustain oneself is less than 0.5 of the less than 1%. Which means the chance of somebody making enough money to live without having to work again from playing football is incredibly low. So it's insane to think about. It is also our duty to provide young athletes with an education that they can use in life, whether they make it as a professional or not. And this is why it's so important, because you are literally, and I know this from experience, one injury away from it being over. Football, soccer, can be taken away from you at any time. So at any point, you can suffer an injury and your career could be over. In fact, this happened to me where I thought my career was over and I didn't play for basically almost 2 years. From 19 to 21, I occasionally played, but I had very bad tendonitis and nobody knew how to solve that problem. And I saw 8 different doctors. It was finally the 9th doctor that actually was able to give me some help. And that was when I considered surgery twice, but nobody helped me how to deal with it. So I've gone through being an injury away from having your career finish. I went through that because I thought my career was finished. Fortunately, it wasn't. Now, here's where education becomes so important. No one can ever reach inside of you, so they can't reach inside of me and take my education away. It will last a lifetime, and it will outlast a football career 10 times over, as once you hit your 30s, you are considered old as a footballer. And in life, you are young and have much to do. Well, that's important to note, because being a professional player, you are definitely old by 30, which is a problem for players, and the chance of continuing their contract diminishes significantly. So, final pillar, improving the athlete. First one, and I know we all share this same frustration. Trust me. How many times have you had people come to you and express their frustration with a coach, a club, the training, the philosophy, and wind up switching clubs thinking the grass is greener on the other side? This happens all the time in the club soccer carousel of rubbish, which essentially means that we all complain about club soccer. It's a problem. It's not changing. As long as the acronym leagues have control, it's never going to change. So, this is very important. I hope you take note of this one. The number one thing that kids need in early stages of their development process, between 4 years old to 12, is fun and technical ability. Results of winning and losing tournaments matters not, and is so far from what should be measured as success in the development phases of this age. Fun, technical ability. That's it. Didn't mention anything about tactics, about ability. It's fun and technique. Now, consistency in training is important. Trusting the coach is important. And leaving the work to the right people of the organization is of extreme importance. Keyword, trusting the coach. You have to have belief in somebody. On the field, we will also be focusing on the individual person and their development. We will be delivering age-appropriate training. So this means based on your child's age, within Beast Residency, we're going to be designing training sessions based on their age and their need. Now, final piece. Club soccer is a business and not a development tool for the clients they serve. The clubs care more about losing an enrollment fee of a family than if a kid, so a player, can use his left foot properly or not. That is a big problem in the long term for what we eventually see at the professional and national team levels of the USA. Yeah, you go to clubs, they're more worried about keeping your money than making sure that your children have a left foot and a right foot, as an example. Happens all the time across the country. So, following the model of some of the more successful programs around the world regarding holistic youth education and development, here is what a typical schedule is going to look like at Beast Residency. Here's the schedule. The typical schedule. They're going to arrive at 8 a.m. They're going to train from 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. They're going to have about a 45-minute break to eat and shower. They're then going to have school from 11:15 to 3:15 or whatever the duration is. It could be a little bit less time. Okay? And then they're going to have football and life education. And then they're going to be dismissed at 5 o'clock. 8 to 5. And what's awesome is this means as families, you get your evenings back. So in our private school, you get your evening back because you don't have to necessarily go to club training anymore. So, this is where this all kind of ties together. I also realize that for the United States to actually have a realistic, and this is the key word, realistic chance of developing young players, it has to be through, or done through, a full-time program like residency. And here's where I think our program will be separated from everybody else. For example, using me, I am super motivated to try and help players get out of the system. So I'm talking about a football perspective at this point. If the players have a certain level, we will help create platforms to help them get out. Now, not everybody can be a professional player. We have to also prepare these kids for life that's going to happen when they turn 18, 19, 20, 21 years old and older. And it's this preparation here that is probably the most important to help develop this process. Well, let's look at club soccer. Club soccer has not produced an elite level professional yet. And I mean elite, that can play in the Champions League week in and week out, be world class. We don't have one yet. And you could argue, okay, well, we're getting slightly better. Our grassroots is still a train wreck. Because grassroots is a train wreck, we're talking about hoping that the 1% or less than 1% make it versus worrying about picking up the bottom of the slack, getting it higher to help push the rest of the group forward. So, continuing, club soccer has become too saturated and grassroots players are being neglected in the pay-to-play model. All day. I went to a tournament this last weekend. I watched 20 games. Gold bracket, silver bracket, bronze bracket. All three. 77 and 99. Mostly 77. Only one team out of 20 matches that I watched, so that's potentially 40 teams, tried to have the ball on the floor. Everybody else was happy sending the ball left and right, in the air, in every place, without even thinking about what we're doing. So, hopefully that makes sense. I want to showcase tuition because we've had people ask with some of the content that I posted, and we're going to be very transparent about what the tuition looks like. I'm sure you're wondering. Well, here's the answer. So, the sticker price is $20K per year. Okay, this means monthly would be $2,000. However, we have two potential incentives. This is where it gets very interesting. We have the step-up scholarship. This is guaranteed. So the step-up scholarship is guaranteed for every single student that goes through the academic program within the state of Florida. As long as you do what you need to do, you get the step-up scholarship. Guaranteed. Okay. We also have the Beast incentive, which is additional financial aid up to $3,000. So this means total after incentives awarded could be $9,500 per year, which means the monthly, if you broke it down, would be $950 a month. Okay. Now, if you didn't get the Beast incentive as an example, the cost would be $12,700 per year. Okay. So it just depends on the incentives you need, but the step up is basically guaranteed. Now, what does this break down from a math equation? Okay, well, per hour, after the incentives, $4.90. It's less than $5 an hour for all what you're going to get with your child. Okay, and that's a crazy thing to think about. For less than $5 an hour, that's what your child's going to get. Now, some people have asked us, hey, we're not necessarily capable of doing the full-time program yet. We want to just do football. Okay, we can provide a football option. So this means you're going to get 5 sessions per week, Monday through Friday. The base tuition, so per year, $7,000, which means the monthly $700. You're on campus 3 hours a day for football, if you do football only. So, focusing on this, 3 hours a day. You arrive at 8. You start training at 8:30. We finish at 10:30. You wait until 11 to go home. That's 64.5 hours a month. That's $11 per hour for pay to learn. Now, the residency objectives, simple. Step 1, deliver best in-class education, check mark. Deliver best in-class personal development, check mark. Preparing for the future. Deliver best in-class individual player development. I haven't really discussed this yet, but I'm going to explain to you in a second, check mark. Deliver best in class group development, check mark. Club neutral. Okay, so let's talk about 3 and 4 real quick, because we've already talked about 1 and 2 a lot. So 3 and 4. Beast residency, especially in year 1, club neutral. Individual development, group training. So imagine the way that I'm phrasing this is it's individual or group training on steroids without the injection. You don't have to inject anything. You're just getting the training like it's on steroids. So this basically means that you could have either individual training or group training. So a group would be like up to 6 players as an example in a group training during the allotted time. Players are going to be separated based on age or skill level during the training sessions. Okay, we're going to have plenty of staff to take care of that, and you'll see later why. Okay, but it is club neutral. This is not a club. It's not a team, at least in year 1. So year 2, deliver best-in-class education. Deliver best-in-class personal development. Deliver best-in-class individual player development. We're looking at year 2 to actually start teams. Okay, so if we start teams and we get that in year 2, fantastic. Now, we are also okay with if we don't have teams in year 2 and we still focus on individual development. However, the long-term goal is to have teams where we can take our players into competitions. Now, you're probably asking, well, Kyle, are you guys going to do leagues? We're not doing leagues. You don't have to do leagues. Could you do leagues? Sure. But I don't believe the model is designed to have leagues if we're going to get players out, because the leagues require more money. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to focus on the player development where we feel fit and help them develop. Okay? And then if we have teams in year 2, year 3 is going to be identical, right? Continuing with year 3 and then year 4 and year 5. Everything we do, we want, you can see the same phrase here, best in class, best in class, best in class, best in class. Now, application. People are going to ask, how do I apply? Well, you're going to see shortly how, but this is what you get when you register, right? So I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll give you some ideas, right? Obviously, you secure your student's placement for the private school. You get access to SAI's best-in-class curriculum. So it's hybrid learning. It's not just sitting behind a desk or behind a screen. There will be educators on campus. Okay, so it's a blended learning environment with virtual and in-person. Air-conditioned, important. So you're not just sitting out in the blazing sun. We're going to have showers, and this is awesome. Each student will get an individualized student academic plan. They can take honors classes, AP, dual enrollment, everything in between. SAT and ACT prep. There's also tutoring included in the program. You don't have to pay extra for tutoring. So if your child needs additional help, you can get additional help with no extra cost. Okay? Uniform, student ID, marketing materials, report cards, quarterly evaluations from athletic and academic evaluations. Scan this if you would like to basically to fill out the form for interest. To say, hey, we're interested, we want to learn more. This is where you scan this, or just shoot me a DM and I'll send it to you. Okay, we can get you the link. That way you can register your interest. We're starting in August 2024, so basically 2.5 months, where we're going to be starting the residency in Orlando, Florida. Now, I do want to add, because some people will ask, no, we don't have dorms. So you'd have to figure out how to get here to go through the residency program. If we end up getting some sort of dorm capability, we'll let you know, but we don't have one at this moment. And then I've also had multiple people ask about summer. And I love this picture, I gotta tell you, this is awesome. I love the glasses, it's pretty cool, it's funny. Okay, but anyways, if you're looking for summer training, so you're trying to really develop the footwork, the individual skill of your player, the implementation of skill this summer prior to the residency program, this is where you can scan to learn more about the Beast Summer Training. We're going to have training groups we're going to start with one group that's going to be from 9 to 10:30 a.m., Monday through Thursday, 1.5 sessions. The kids are going to get a hell of a lot out of it. They're going to burn because of how much repetition they're going to be getting. And what's awesome is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever days that we decide to do the training, they're going to get a minimum of 1,000 touches on the ball. And if we don't give that to your child, so if they don't reach that, outside of them not desiring to do it, we're going to give you your money back if we don't help them get there. As long as they're putting in the work, they have to get 1,000 touches per day. Now, when we do game day is game day. They're there to compete. But the other days, if we don't get the 1,000 touches, you can get your money back. Okay, and we have an option here for monthly or weekly. So you can pay per week or you can pay per month. The monthly is obviously going to be cheaper than weekly, but the choice is kind of yours. And we're doing that all June and July prior to residency. So thank you. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to save this. It's going to be uploaded so you can watch it again later if you need to, if you missed something, or if you want to watch it at any point. And I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation and looking forward to connecting with you on residency. You guys have a good night.